Good morning, children. Today I am going to discuss about 13th chapter, that is a paper 2 for ninth class students. That is, you see, heading is there. Democratic and Nationalist Revolutions. Democratic and Nationalist Revolutions, 17th and 18th century, especially Europe and other continents. In early class, I explained about cultural changes in Europe, especially medieval period to modern period, what the changes are made. I explained. A question paper I will select and I will send to you later. Right now, I am going to discuss about democratic and nationalist revolutions in 17th, 18th centuries. 17th century means 1600 to 1601 to 1700. It is a 17th century. 18th century, it means 701 to 1800 is called 18th century. So now I am going to discuss about England, that is England Glorious Revolution. What is England? England is a agriculture nation. Most of the members, most of the people belongs to agriculture family. So here landlords, big merchants, lawyers, farmers and workers and king, pope and other category of the people plays important role in England society. So in our textbook, which is discussed about from 17th century onwards, what is the position of England? That is. So in England, in 17th century, Tudor dynasty was ruled. What dynasty? Tudor dynasty. Tudor dynasty. In which century? 17th century, early 17th century, Tudor dynasty was ruled the England. So here, England also having another name, they are calling it Britain. Here, Britain means, you see, what is called Britain? We are calling Great Britain. Britain means the places or the islands. What the islands are? England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland are called Britain. So somebody is called Great Britain, somebody is called England, but they are calling rotationally what is called England and what is called Scotland, what is called Wales and what is called Ireland, they doesn't know. So that's why Britain means the combination of four places. So Tudor dynasty unified all the places and then it is called Britain or Great Britain. So four places. This credit goes to Tudor dynasty. After completion of the Tudor dynasty, next Stuart dynasty came into the England. So after completion of Tudor dynasty, which dynasty came into the force? Which dynasty? After Tudor dynasty, Stuart dynasty came into the force. Came into the force in England. So, so I said about two important dynasties. Number one is Tudor dynasty, and number two is Stuart dynasty. Stuart dynasty. ఇక్కడ కూడా మన దగ్గర కూడా స్టూవర్ట్ పురం ఉంది, అక్కడ కూడా స్టూవర్ట్ డైనాసిటీ చాలా గ్రేట్. బోత్ ఆర్ గ్రేట్. స్టూవర్ట్ డైనాసిటీ, స్టూవర్ట్ పురం లాగా చాలా గ్రేట్. సో దట్స్ వై స్టూవర్ట్ dynasty, famous dynasty. In 1603, James I come to the position in England. Who come to the position in England under Stuart dynasty? In 1603, James I from Stuart dynasty came to the force. Stuart dynasty came to the force and he ruled England very nice. But here one important thing we missed. What that is? Tudor dynasty is completely quite opposite of RCC. What is called RCC? Can you say RCC? What is meant by RCC? Roman Catholic Church. Roman Catholic Church. So here Tudor dynasty was completely opposite of Tudor dynasty was opposite of Roman Catholic Church, RCC. So they should not follow the Pope and Church Fathers' orders, because they are dominating on the king. They dominated. The Church Father is dominated on king and king activities. So king is treated as a subordinate to the church. So that activities are not to obey by the England kings. They separately established a separate church. The church name is called Anglican Church. The England people started a church. The church name is called Anglican Church. Anglican Church is the famous church established separately by the people of England with the support of people of England. The King of England is established because they are opposed to the RCC policies, RCC, Roman Catholic Church. But here, by observation of this, what is the important points, what I said? Next I will go for the another continuous topic. What is here? England, I said first of all, England, what type of England it is? England is like India. It is a purely agriculture nation. It depend upon, majority of the people depend upon agriculture. But a key role played in the society by landlords, merchants, lawyers and some farmers are playing important role. And above these category, king is there. But church is dominating, but kings are not accepted the church role, RCC church role. In 1603, who come to the force here? After completion of the Tudor dynasty, Stuart dynasty came into the force in England. In 1603, James I come to the force. James I come to the force in England. He started the ruling very good, but he followed what that is divine rights theory. What theory? Divine rights theory. Who followed divine rights theory? That is important. What is called divine rights theory? What is called divine rights theory? James I followed followed divine rights theory. Divine rights theory. What is called divine rights theory? Divine rights theory means God is created by, king is created by God. Say once again, king is created by God. God given lot of powers to king. That's why king is ruling the people. So this is called. Who created the king? King was created by God. And who gave the powers to king? God is given powers to the king. So this is called divine rights theory. Who followed divine rights theory? Divine rights theory followed by James I. After death of the James I, who come to the force? Charles I. After death of James I, who was succeed? It means a little bit several members are tried but failure. But Charles I, after James I, Charles I was succeeded. So Charles I, when he come to the position after James, he continuously ruled 11 years without asking the permission of the parliament. So without a parliament, 11 years ruled the England by Charles I. Charles I at the beginning is a great ruler. He is a people ruler. But what happens? He was changed. He was a loyal and royal candidate. So that's why he expend money for royalty and loyalty. His expenditure is more and more. So that's why he ready to pay taxes on people. If they are ready to impose taxes on people, before that, whether the king ready to impose taxes on people, before he will take permission from the parliament. So that is. So without permission of the Parliament of England, no tax is imposed by the king. So without permission of the parliament, no tax is imposed on the people. So that is the main important thing. So that's why he called parliament. Here parliament means who are the members in the parliament? Parliament means, now come to the again old thing, what that is. Here landlords, they are the member in the parliament. Big merchants, they are the members in the parliament. And some farmers, it means farmer representatives are members in the parliament. So who are the heavy members here? More people, poor people is there, more farmers is there, farmer representatives are more in the parliament. So all are gathered. Then king asked to impose the taxes. Then parliament is continued from 1640 to 1660. Parliament is continued. Parliament continued from 1660 to 1640 to 1660. 1640 to 1660. Parliament is continued 1640 to 1660. For what purpose? They gathered and continued the meeting. For what purpose? To impose the taxes on the people. Why they impose the taxes? There is no money to do the war, to expend money for welfare programs. To do the war, there is no money within the hands. Then Charles I is ready to impose the taxes on people. So that's why Parliament was gathered and assembled and continued and discussed the matter to impose the taxes on people. So that's why here to impose the taxes on people, to impose taxes on people, they discussed several matters, but no tax is imposed because Parliament is not agreed. Parliament is not agreed to collect the taxes from the people. So then what happens? 1640 to 1660. How many years? 20 years. Parliament and the king both are assembled. Then what happens? No tax is imposed on people because of majority members belongs to the poor category representatives. So that's why they are not. And here, who will pay the tax? More taxes are paid by the only poor people only. That's why they are not accepted. So that's why Parliament was failed. Then Charles formed a party and the poor people. It means Parliament. Parliament established one party and king established one party. So there is a quarrels. Both are divided. Then war started between king versus Parliament. Because after a long parliament, what is called long parliament? To impose the taxes, Charles I was welcomed to the parliament. Then parliament assembled and assembled and continued 1640 to 1660. That is called a long parliament. What parliament? Long parliament. What is called long parliament? To impose the taxes, Charles I and the parliament members are argued and discussed and continued the meetings nearly 20 years, 1640 to 1660. So that is called long parliament. Long parliament is happened between Charles I versus all other parliament members. Who are the parliament members here? Number 1, landlords. Number 2, merchants. Number 3, big businessmen and industrialists. And last one is heavy members and the more members, that is farmers and the farmers representatives. So that is long parliament. Then what happens? War is started. The long parliament is going on 1640 to 1660. At the time, war is started. War is started between Charles I and Parliament party. War is started, Charles party, and it means a king party. And Parliament party, it means a poor people party. Then what happens in this? Who are the majority members? Even supporters of the Charles I also come to favor of the poor people, because majority people is the poor people and their representatives. And finally, king was caught by the parliament members and he executed in 1649. King was caught. It means who is the king? Charles I. Charles I was caught by parliaments and executed. What is meant by executing? ఉరి తీశారు. ఏం చేశారు? ఉరి తీశారు. And parliament, caught by parliament and executed in 1649. 1649. So that is the end of the Charles I rule. There is no king. Who is the winner? War is going on between the two members. Then what happens? Then what happens? Here, no king is there. Then they called William of Orange. William of Orange. Parliament called. Parliament welcomed. Parliament welcomed. That is William Orange. William of Orange. And granddaughter of Charles I. That's a Mary. She was a queen. Granddaughter of Charles. Granddaughter of Charles I, that is, her name is called Mary. Both are called and gave the powers. But powers are restricted by Parliament. Now, all powers are transferred to King to Parliament. What happens? They are only nominal. Who are the nominal? William of Orange. William of Orange, which is come to the England as a king in 1688. In 1688, William of Orange, which is welcomed, and granddaughter of Charles I, which is welcomed. Both are nominated as a king and the queen of England government. Then powers are changed to the parliament. All the powers from king to parliament, which is transferred. Very, very simple. Without a drop of bloodshed, without a single drop of bloodshed, powers are simply transferred. After end of the war between Charles I and the parliament, after executing the Charles I, after arrangement of the new king and the queen, simply the parliament made a simple action. That is, powers are transferred to the king to the parliament. This is known as glorious revolution or bloodless revolution. This is known as the powers are simply transferred. The powers are simply powers after arrangement of king and the queen, powers are transferred. Transferred to parliament, and powers are transferred to parliament in 1688 without a drop of bloodshed, without a drop of bloodshed, without a drop of bloodshed, simply powers are transferred. So that's why it is known as simply the powers are changed into powers are changed. So that's why it is known as a bloodless revolution or glorious revolution. That is known as bloodless revolution or glorious bloodless revolution or glorious revolution. That's happening at first in England. So this is the story. By gradually England was changed into the monarchy stage or dictator stage to democratic stage, step by step. Pure democratic state. It was changed into pure democratic state, step by step. That's happening in England. Students, now it is a questioning time. What is that? What I am asking, this is very very important one. What is called bloodless revolution? What is called glorious revolution? In the question paper they will ask you what is that, what is called bloodless revolution and what is called glorious revolution, and who is called James I when he came to the power, who united the Britain, and Britain means how many nations, how many nations united as a Britain. This type of questions come in the examination. And one more important thing is what is called long parliament. That is also most important question. The period of long parliament, that is also important question. And who is arranged as a new king and a new queen for England, and what is bloodless revolution. So thank you students.